morning. Thank you for watching my TV show Bosco Talk Show again. This week I'm so lucky I'm bringing you to the Sunshine State, the state of Florida. And I'm here today in Orlando, Florida. I'm doing a couple of things now. First, I'm bringing you to see the luxury senior retirement homes. Now today I'm talking about the comparison of retirement living, comparing in California and Florida. And in this depth of exploration in the United States, California and Florida are both the destination of attract many retirees. While they both have many attractive features, they also have significant differences in many aspects. These articles will delve into differences between these two states in terms of cost of living, elderly housing, elderly benefits, safety, weathers, ethnic ratio, combining some specific news and historical cases for comparison. Now let's talk about the cost of living. I live in California for many years, since 1992, and I know California, if we can afford living in California, you can afford to living anywhere else in the United States. And California, the cost of living is generally higher. For example, housing price and rents in many major cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco are generally high. According to Los Angeles Times, California cost of living ranks high among in United States, which may bring economic pressure to retirees. In Florida, instead, the cost of living in Florida relatively lower, according to data from U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. The cost of living index in Florida is usually lower than national average. Lower housing prices and food costs makes Florida a preferred choice for many retirees. And the focus this week I'm going to talk about is elderly housing. And in California where we live, California has many luxury community designed for seniors, but they are expensive, extremely expensive. However, some news report that shown that housing issues in California have become a major problem for retirees, meaning that if you're retired and you're trying to look for a community home, a senior community center, luxury home, or even just the basic senior home, nursing home, senior community homes, and there will be a problem that is a lack of senior homes for people. And San Francisco Chronicle reported that some seniors in California are forced to live in their cars, reflecting affordability for housing prices. And in Florida, instead, has abundant senior communities with relatively reasonable housing prices. The Orlando Senator reports that Florida's senior communities are diverse and moderately priced, providing comfortable living environment for retirees. So looks like Florida is much better comparing with prices. And we're going to get into the detail of the price a little more. The detail, like really how much you spend month to month, stuff like that. Elderly benefits, that's the most important, right? My parents are elder, your parents, your families, you probably have some elders, people looking for their benefits, using up their benefits from government, and also finding a good place, nice place with a better, environment, better air quality, everything. So combining the benefits, let's talk about California provide diverse elderly welfare services, including healthcare, long-term care, and social services. However, some reports points out challenges in California healthcare system nowadays, such as long waiting time, okay, and high medical costs. That's a very bad thing. Okay, if you're looking to retire, staying in California, that is very important. In Florida, instead, also provide various elderly welfare services, but costs may be more affordable compared to California. In Orlando, Senator report, and Florida's healthcare system is relatively efficient, providing good medical services for elderly. And also now talk about the safety in California. Some city in California have prominent safety issues. The Los Angeles Times report high crimes rates in city like Los Angeles. Definitely you don't hear anything else. And San Francisco, which may cause concern for retirees. And in Florida, although Florida also has safety issues, but they are relatively fewer. And Florida today reported that some cities in Florida have relatively good safety condition, providing relatively secure living environments for retirees. So this is what happened. I just came here a couple of days, and I'm staying here inside the condo, like the apartment complex, and what I'm seeing is there's a crime going on around here. And last night is showing like 30 cars of cops and showing in front of our apartment. And then they just sitting there for almost 6-7 hours and doing some investigating and doing some stuff like that to try to make sure they press down the crime. And you won't see something like that in California nowadays. If you're calling the police, if you got robbed or your home got burglarized, you call for cops and the cops won't even show up. And okay, let's talk about the weather. Okay, I don't want to get too deep into that crime thing. So weather in California has a mild and pleasant climate, which you all know, but not all the time, not always like that. You have to. It always depends on where you live. In the report, pleasant climate. Well, I not really looking like that. But there are also natural disaster such as drought and wildfire, and that you have to be very concerned about. So why you have to really concern about like the drought and wildfire? You remember, a couple of years ago when we just found out we had a fire. We opened the door, we opened the window, and the whole sky are polluted with smoke, and you feel with smoky air for many days, like maybe 2 weeks of a time that you won't even see the sky. And then all of a sudden you have to wear a mask. You have to your whole life is changing just because you have the wildfire all the time, constantly. I remember it was like maybe year 2018, 19, and 2020. It was always fire, and it was always fill the sky with all the smoke. So also, there's a report saying in San Diego Union Tribune reported that summer droughts in California may lead to forest fires, which have certain impacts on retiree lives. And in Florida, has a lot of humid climate and hot and humid summer, but it is also affected by hurricane and heavy rains that you have to remember. When the hurricane hits here, they break everything. They break your windows, and you have to all your trees fell down, stuff like that. And in Miami Herald report, the high summer temperature in Florida may have a certain impact on health of the elderly. So what considered high, I don't know, maybe 90, 100, 105 the most. Not as high as California in some places, but here are more humid. So when you feel hot, you feel sweaty. You feel your whole body is wet. Even in the springtime or fall season, it's also very wet, very humid. So it's really pretty different. And most important, we have to talk about the ethnic ratio. We know that we're Chinese, right? So we live in this country. We live in this country for a long time. We're Chinese American, Asian American. We wanted to stick around with what we get used to, like food, like stuff like getting the Chinese medicine. If you have a diarrhea, you don't really go into Walgreens and get some Western medicine. You probably just get a small bottle of what you call that, the Chinese medicine, and then you go home and you take that. You feel okay, right? Because your parents, your grandparents has taught you to do that. You probably drink some hot water with some ginger, right? A lot of stuff you can buy. We survive in the environment, like our ancestor came here during the gold rush, or during the railroad, doing all kinds of things, and they do survive even with the lack of all this ability to try to get the resources they got used to. But nowadays we still trying to stick around with our history, with our backgrounds. So in California is a diverse state, and with many differences, ethnic groups coexisting. In San Francisco especially, the Chronicle reported that California has a relatively high ethnic ratio, contributing to a multicultural society. But in Florida, is also a diverse state. There may be social segregation between ethnic groups, so they don't live together. Some of the groups lives here in this town, some of the group lives there in one area. So in Florida today reported that ethnic ratio in Florida is gradually increasing, but there are still certain level of racial differences, right? So that especially for Chinese American, they don't have that many. We don't have that many Chinese American here, or immigrant here in Florida. In conclusion, there are significant differences between California and Florida in terms of retirement living. Retirees should consider various factors when choosing retirement locations and make appropriate choices based on their personal preferences and needs. Both California and Florida has thriving Chinese community, attracting a large number of Chinese immigrants, right? Even though Florida has not so much as California. But this article will compare the Chinese community in these two states in terms of Chinese population density, age distribution, jobs opportunity, and retirement living. So in Chinese population's density, first, in California, is one of the largest Chinese community in the United States, everyone knows, with cities such as Los Angeles, San Francisco, San Diego having high Chinese population density. According to the World Journal, California Chinese population exceeds 2 million, with Chinese communities concentrated in some major city and regions. In Florida, compared to California, Florida has a lower Chinese population density. Although Florida's Chinese community is also growing, it is mostly distributed in cities like Miami, Orlando, and Tampa, relatively scattered. Age, well, let's talk about the age group distribution of Chinese people. This age distribution of Chinese in California is relatively diverse, covering various age group, right? You found all age, all different type, all age in California. There are not only young students and professional, but also large number of elderly immigrant and retirees. We talk about retirement living for Chinese people. Okay, California has many communities suitable for retirement living, offering various facility and activities such as golf courses, shopping center, cultural events. California pleasant climate is attractive, right? Most of the places, but high cost of living may have a certain impact on retirement living. For Florida, the same thing. Florida has many communities designed for retirees, providing various activities and facilities. Florida's mild climate and relatively low cost of living have attracted more and more elderly Chinese retirees to spend their golden years here. In summary, there are certain differences between Chinese community in California and Florida in terms of population density, age distribution, job opportunities, and retirement livings. Choosing the right place to live depends on individual career and living needs, as well as preferences and communities, environments, quality of life. So now let's dig into the most important part that you want to know, the housing costs. Okay, California, the average monthly rent for one bedroom apartment, I'm talking about average, right? If you're talking about the San Francisco area or surrounding, or even the next city, like in Oakland, there will be a huge difference. So I'm talking about if you are comparing, like, even within one city, you have some, very poor area, and then you have some extremely expensive area that you cannot just compare. And I'm not trying to bring you, the highest or the lowest. I'm trying to bring you the decent amount, like the people who can afford the most basic costs, of the living. And just like you're living there for, you're not looking for something fancy, you're not in a very poor area, not very bad crime rate, high crime rate area. So these are average, can range from $1,500 to $3,000, depending on the city and neighborhood. Again, buying a home in California can have a median price ranging from $500,000, which I don't think it's gonna happen, to over $1 million likely. Major city like Los Angeles and San Francisco. But in Florida, an average monthly rent, one bedroom apartment can range from $800 to $1,500, less than half of California. Okay, so I'm just giving you the idea. Depending on location, buying a home, Florida may have a median price ranging from $200,000 to $400,000, which is less than half comparing to California. Okay, and healthcare costs in California can be very widely depending on factors such as insurance coverage, age, specific health needs. On average, retirees in California may spend around $500 to $100 per month on healthcare premiums and out-of-pocket expenses. And healthcare costs in Florida may slightly lower compared to California retirees. In Florida may spend around $400 to $800 per month on healthcare premiums and out-of-pocket expenses. Groceries and utility, okay? We all know we're having inflation. Everything is costing so much. In California, it can range about $300 to $600, okay, for a single person per month, okay, which I think will cost even more. And grocery utility costs and may slightly lower in Florida, and it will be maybe $250 to $500, like maybe 20% lower. And transportation, okay, California depends on where you live, okay. Transportation can be very, but let's talk about. It's hard to compare, the transportation like buses, public transportation. But if you own a car, it will cost you about $100 to $300 a month just for gas. And if it's in Florida, it's about the same, right? Entertainment, leisure, California definitely will be a little bit more higher. And then you have everywhere you have to pay for parking fees. Those are extra costs for your living. So this time I'm just trying to bring you to compare, both places. If you're trying to retire in one of the state, you want to look into all the detail. And I wanted to finish this up with a little bit of Chinese. I'm trying to talk to all these people to let them understand, no matter what language you speak, well, our root is always the Chinese American. We were trying to, work our whole life, busy with our whole life, save up enough money, and then take care of our kids, finding a decent, nice place to live when we getting old, a safe place. So these are all the basic. 这里我想要跟大家就是再讲一讲，我很荣幸这一次我也很开心，我很幸运能够来到美国最东南部的这个地方，就是佛罗里达州这边呢，来介绍一些我认为觉得真的是还可以跟加州比较一下各方面的一些东西。有很多的州在我们的比如说德州，比如说夏威夷州，有很多的地方我自己认为觉得都还没有达到能够跟加州比较的地方。那但是呢，我觉得如果是养老的话，在这一边呢真的是可以去观察一下，多了解一下。所以我就把这一次这个佛罗里达州的这一次旅行呢，我就把它带到你们的这个眼前，在这个节目里边向你们呢展示一下。那美国呢可以认为最漂亮最好的养老院呢，这一集里边我也带到你们的面前了，那让你们一起细心的去观赏一下它里边的情形。非常感谢你们，谢谢你。希望下一集的节目呢，大有渊源，我又能够呢再带大家去看一些更好的、更用心的，去把一些更多精彩的一些东西呢带到你们的面前。因为不单单是这一些地方，有时候我可能也可以带你们到别的州，比如说德州，或者是去夏威夷州走走看一看，当你们养老的一些环境，这些地方呢是否比较起我们的加州可能会更适合。谢谢。